You are not behind. You just spent 20 minutes today feeling poor because of people who are actually in debt. Read that again. The account that made you feel small this morning is very possibly drowning, and you just let it decide how you feel about your own money, maybe even whether you feel ready for the life you actually want. That's not paranoia. It's called money dysmorphia, and by the end of this video, you'll know your actual number, not the one your feed just made you guess. Nobody posts their finances. They post a performance of them, and you've been grading yourself and your whole timeline for your life against the performance. Today that stops. Real numbers, no filter. Where people your age actually stand, why the feeling of being behind is a manufactured product, and why the milestones you think you need before you're ready for anything might not be real requirements at all. Here's who's winning on your feed. 59% of affluent millennials admit it's important to them to look rich to other people. Not be rich, look rich. A third of them flat out lie about their income, their savings, what they spend. 40% took on debt they didn't even want, just to keep the show running. 2 in 5 young adults have gone into actual debt to impress people who don't even know their card is maxed out. The person making you feel poor might not be ahead of you. They might just be better at lying about it. Knowing that doesn't switch the feeling off. Here's why it's not your fault it doesn't. There's a name for what's happening to you. Money dysmorphia. A distorted, false sense of being financially behind, directly tied to how much of this content you consume. 43% of Gen Z have it. 41% of millennials have it. Over 59? Just 14%. They grew up without a feed narrating everyone else's highlight reel into their face every morning. 82% of people with money dysmorphia say they feel behind. This isn't a personality flaw. It's what the algorithm was built to do to you. So let's stop guessing. Here's the real number for people your age in the UK. Not a stranger's story, the actual ONS data. If you're 22 to 29, the median full-time salary is £32,347. In your 30s, it's £40,668. Average savings at 18 to 24, £2,699. From 25 to 44, it's roughly 11,000. Not 11,000 a year. 11,000 total saved. 39% of people in this country have £1,000 or less in savings. A quarter have £200 or less. 1 in 6 adults, almost 9 million people, have nothing saved at all. If your number looks like that, you are not behind. You are exactly average. That is the gap between what you were made to feel and what is actually true. And it gets worse, because people don't just feel bad about that gap. They act on it. 74% of people in the UK who followed financial advice they saw on social media walked away worse off. Lost money. Wrecked credit. A quarter of investors said they felt pressured to move fast on a tip they saw online. Over 2 in 5 of them lost money doing exactly that. The same feed that made you feel behind is the one you'll turn to for the fix. That is the trap closing twice. Last video, we broke down the real cost of raising a child in this country. £259,028. Big, honest number. But here's what that video didn't say out loud. A huge amount of why that number feels impossible isn't the number itself. It's the imaginary checklist people think has to be finished first. The house, the car, the stable career with the title that sounds impressive at a dinner party. None of that is what your child actually needs. None of it was ever a real requirement. It's the same comparison-driven inflation that put a £600 pram on a nursery shopping list, just applied to your entire life instead of one purchase. The economy changed. The path your parents' generation followed isn't the only valid order to do things in anymore. You do not need the house, the car, and the perfect job stacked up in a neat row before you're allowed to start the family, the business, or the life you actually want. So here's the 10-minute fix nobody's selling you a course for. Add up what you actually have. Subtract what you actually owe. That's your real number, not the one you guessed at from someone's story, not the milestone checklist you assumed was mandatory. Write it down. Compare it to the real averages, not the feed. Then mute the accounts that make you feel small, even the ones you like. You don't owe your attention to something quietly, costing you your judgment, and possibly costing you decisions, like when to start the life you actually want, that were never yours to delay. Some of what you're scrolling past is real. Most of it is a performance. An expensive one, funded by debt you'll never see in the caption, chasing a checklist that was never actually required. The only number that was ever going to matter is the one in your own account, not theirs. And the only life that was ever going to matter is the one you actually build, not the one you assumed you had to qualify for first. If you watched last week's video about the real cost of having kids, this is the other half of that conversation. Go check your real number today. Share this with someone who compares themselves online more than they'd ever admit out loud. Subscribe for the next one.